hello.
What's up?
Oh, Bill says hello too. Good timing, baby girl.
Just what we need, the dogs.
What? I know. I'm aware.
It's expected.
Yeah, she had to say hi to everybody.
Of course.
Why is mom yelling in all capitals?
What's up, everybody?
How is everybody doing on this lovely Wednesday, May 24th? Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's fast. Moving fast.
Yes, John jumped on.
Yes. Keith is here to talk about generations. Woo!
All the way from New Jersey.
When it's 79, 10 o'clock. Holy cow, it's 10 o'clock.
It is 10 o'clock.
And there's no gunshots?
Well,
I think I heard a few 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably.
it's okay.
John says I'm echoing.
I don't hear you echoing. John, it's you. It's because John
That
is...
goes away.
Oh, now it's super echoing. What do I hear? What did you do?
Is it echoing now?
Now I hear super background. Hear the cars driving by. We'll hear the gunshots. Pew, pew.
There you go. That's better.
Oh, I had a super cool thing that John would have enjoyed. So I read this thing about the most expensive gun ever sold. Guess how much it is? Just throw a number out there.
$2 million.
$6 million
That was close.
for the Colt that shot Billy the Kid. It was sold in August of 2021.
Interesting.
I was like, oh, so people just have that sort of money, I guess.
I guess. I hope they verified it.
I would assume they did.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
It was sold for $2 million the time before. With inflation, it'd be like 6.8. They said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess if
So
you
there's-
have the money and you're into it, I could
So
understand
there's
it.
that. I don't even know what that kind of money looks like, Dad.
Yeah. No, I know.
That's a lot of zeros.
I have close to that, but not
Just
not
half
really
of that.
Yeah,
You couldn't buy the gun.
pretty
huh?
close to that. Yeah. I don't know.
Ay.
So before we get started, I just wanted to mention something. It's not to put a downer on this or anything, but we had a little bit of a sad situation at my house today. My wife's sister, Loretta, passed away after an 8-year battle with cancer. So I just wanted to say to my wife and my nieces, Denise, Donna, my great niece, Kayla, that I send my love and my prayers to them all. It's very difficult for me because she wasn't just a sister-in-law to me. I actually went through grammar school with her from first grade through sixth, except for 1 year. And we were very close then as friends. And we've gone through life together. And when I married her sister, of course, she became family. So it's a little bit more, I guess, personal to me than normally would be. So I just wanted to, let them know I love them and my prayers are with them.
That's kind of cool that you got to go to grade school with your
yeah.
wife's sister.
Yeah, it is.
That's super neat.
Yeah, I was telling my wife today that I don't want to picture her now. I pictured her when we were in second grade together because she always used to bust my balls. So in second grade, we were in arts and crafts, and believe me, I'm not an artist. And we were together, and she was breaking my chops about something. And I said, I told my wife today, I could picture her standing there with that grin,
Still.
with the grin and the brown dress,
Yelling
breaking
at
my
you?
chops.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, I just wanted to share that.
That's cool, though. How neat would that be? So, we love you, Ma. You'll be okay.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Am I still echoing?
I
little
don't,
bit,
I don't think you are,
A
but
little bit, not a lot.
Okay. I think
It's-
it is. I
it's-
think it is what it is. I don't think you're too bad.
Yeah.
So, are we going to get into some memes?
We can do that.
I'm not in charge of stuff, guys. So Keith is. So you're in better hands than you were with me, because that'd be terrible. We're going to have to do this again in 2 weeks, just so y'all know.
Oh boy.
Just so you know. Okay. Let's see him. Oh, look at that's you. 7-year-old
Right.
kids today. iPhones and iPads. Me when I was 7. Yep. And you do it in different like tones.
I still do it.
Really? Wow. Yep, I married that. Oh, wow.
Love this one.
2019. Hey, son, I found a picture of your grandpa. 2060. Hey, son, I found a picture of your grandpa.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the truth?
Wow. Hey, but you want to know what? On a happy note, at least he still stayed a boy and he reproduced.
Well, at least we hope so.
Right?
True.
Just saying. My generation is going to start a revolution. Your generation can't start a lawnmower.
There you go.
Oh, that's the guy from
Yeah, that's
what
my
movie?
man. E.M. Emery. Yeah, E.M.
What
Emery.
movie is that, though?
Full
He was in a lot.
Metal Jacket.
No, it's like Ernest goes to something or other and he
I
yells
don't
at
know.
somebody.
He was in Toy Story too.
He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he was in a lot of things.
Of all the great movies he's done, you pick Ernest. That's a great movie.
That's the only one I remember.
No,
It was like Ernest went to boot camp or something.
who watched that? His best movie was Full Metal Jacket.
I never
He
saw
was
that
good in
movie.
Yeah.
Now you got to watch both and compare them. See which one's
Oh,
better.
Full Metal Jacket was great.
I don't think
it's
think
gonna
you
be-
could handle that.
Full Metal Jacket?
It was a rough movie.
It's a rough movie.
What do you mean?
It shows you what basic training used to be like years
Oh,
ago.
that wouldn't
You know,
bother
when
me.
they were allowed to touch a guy and beat the hell out of him.
That's okay. That's
They
what you
can't.
need.
Yeah, they can't do that no more. You're not
Makes
allowed.
you not a baby.
You're not allowed to wrinkle their dresses or anything.
Well, you can't shove their panty in.
Yeah, whatever.
This lady
This
comes
lady
from a generation that knows how to enjoy the moment.
Yep. No phone, just enjoying the moment with the cute little grin on her face.
Yeah, very true.
Oh, yeah. Rare photo of a remote control from the 70s. And you stood there. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me see if I like it.
Yeah, my sons can remember those days. You know, get up and change the channel.
And then you stand there. Don't move. Let me
Yeah,
see if
don't
I
move.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you're good. Okay, commercial. Go change it again.
Yeah, but you know, that payback, because when I was a kid, they used to have the rabbit ears on the TV still.
No, you had to get that
And my mother would
just
say,
right.
stand there and hold it that way. Don't move. And I stand there for an hour while she's watching the show.
Yep.
So it hasn't changed much.
Nope.
Yep.
I don't call it getting old. I call outliving the warranty. I don't want to outlive the warranty. I want to be able to, trade it back in. Oh, yep. 1990s. Don't sit too close to the TV. You'll damage your eyes. 2019. Literally strapped to your face.
Yep.
So funny. Oh, that's great. So funny story. So Keith was playing the video game with that thing on his face.
What's that, virtual
reality thing? So he was playing that, and he was playing the Walking Dead one with the zombies and everything,
Right.
and so he's like already jumpy, and the cat, Seymour, comes by and rubs against his leg. I've never seen Keith jump so high.
Yeah, I guess not, yeah. Go Seymour, yeah.
Oh, it was so funny.
That is funny.
He was like, oh my God, I thought something grabbed me. Like, it did. Nobody. Employers sending emails about workplace issues. As per my last email. Doesn't that sound like John taking away Brian's computer? I feel like that is pretty similar to that.
This is great.
Let me see, I can't see that.
Wow, the generation gap. Shaving the sides of your head, leaving the hair on top, and not having anything on top. Wow, that's sad.
That's your memes.
That is the memes of the week.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm pretty good, right?
Yeah, it was good.
I like as per my last email.
Right, that was a good one.
Should send that to Amanda. Be like, here you go. Drop that bomb.
Give a shout out to our sponsor.
We're waiting. Americano Ammunition Coffee. So I went by there this last week. Dad, you should have had some. So I went by there this last week and got the peach toasted whatever thingy that is there right now. Absolutely delicious.
I love peach, so it couldn't go
Super
wrong.
good.
Yeah.
Not very strong peach taste because you have the coffee, but you can definitely taste it. Like, it's really good.
Yeah.
And then go to the next one. And then I had a lovely little lemon poppy seed loaf cake thing from Red Hen. Delicious.
Was it like a bread or a cake?
It was like a sliced pound cake.
Oh, okay. I
And then it had
like
the
that.
frosting on it. It was very good. It was huge too, right, babe? It was easily like an inch and a half thick.
I probably like that.
It was so good. They had a bunch of muffins and stuff too. I didn't really need to like try them all.
You don't want to try the ball. Yeah.
No, I'm good with just a lemon one. As soon as she said lemon, I was like, done. That's all I need. I don't need the rest of them. I just need to assume that all the rest are terrible. But they were almost sold out. So I don't know if they like get them every morning. But they were almost, there was 2 lemons after the ones I got, and there was only like 1 muffin of each one left. So they are definitely selling out, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're making it fresh every day, right?
I'm assuming she gets them every morning. I don't know if she gets them in the morning or the evening or how they go, but they were almost out. So I love that.
That's cool.
But they were delicious.
Yeah,
like maybe we need to talk with her and be like, hey, just make us a couple pound cakes and right? And eat the whole thing.
You're a perfect spokesman for them, that's for sure.
It's delicious.
That's good. It's always good to hear from somebody that
Who
actually...
told us that? Oh, hey, by the way, we are now on Spotify. Go look at HOA Horror Stories is up there. That one was a good show too.
Is Spotify the one where it's like you can't see it, but you can hear it?
Well,
Is that-
so it used to be only listen.
Yeah.
And now they just recently uploaded to where you can do
Really?
videos.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can watch or listen, but it's super easy. Just throw it on in the car and do it while you're driving.
Yeah, that's what's good about in the car if you're driving.
Yeah,
Sure.
super easy. So you can just throw it on, it'll play through your. We
Interesting.
can be in through your car speakers.
Right.
Are you
How poetic is that?
are you drawing people on it yet? Spotify?
I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So
Good.
it's new. So go listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Well, after tonight you have a blockbuster, so don't worry about it.
Ooh, Mama Cat says she's gonna make me some lemon treats.
There you go. There you go. I wanted to make more of that fudge.
That fudge was delicious.
It was good. I tried to deny myself because I'm a diabetic, but you know what? I couldn't.
It's so
was
good.
It was good.
That was my chair, by the way.
Yeah, sure
Are
it
you
was.
farting?
That was my chair.
No farting. Okay, are we ready to go into the generations?
Yep, I'm gonna stay muted to keep the echoing down.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, are you going to pull me up? There we go. See, this is a total, we're totally good. It's great when the producer's not here. It's a little terrifying. It's totally fine.
You have the mic. That makes it
And Mike,
terrifying.
it's great. Hey, sir. I'm going to stop talking and let you talk. Remember that?
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
exactly.
You're doing good. You're doing very good.
Generation. Isn't that a cute little picture? Oh, there should have been puppy dog footprints in there. So generations. A definition of generation. A generation refers to all of the people born and living at about the same time regarded collectively. It can also be described as the average period, generally considered to be about 20 to 30 years during which children are born and grow up, become adults, and begin to have their own children. In kinship terminology, it is a structural term designating the parent-child relationship. It is known as biogenesis, reproduction, or procreation in the biological sciences.
Absolutely.
Alrighty then. So it's the life you live.
So if that's accurate, then I've gone through 4 generations. Yes.
30, 60, you're not 120 years old.
It says 20 to 30.
20
so-
to 30. You
so
can't just
20
stick it at
to-
20.
20, if I did pick 20, it would be 4 generations.
If you picked 30, it'd be 2.
No.
And a
it'd be
half.
2.5. But I'm picking 20 because it sounds
Of course, because
better.
it makes you feel better.
Exactly.
Because he's going to outlive his warranty.
Exactly.
Isn't it usually 8 to 10 years that they got it out? So you're out. You're at 80. You're done.
Thank you for sharing that with everybody. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You already told him you were bored. Oh my goodness. So we have some generations here since the 1900s. So 124 years? That's some math for you.
That's it.
We have the greatest generation, 1901 to 1927. The silent generation, 1928 to 1945. The baby boomers, we all know them. They're all our parents. 46 to 64.
Not me.
Are you in the silent generation? Yeah, well,
We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Some people are old.
Wow.
We have the Gen X born 65 to 80. The Generation Y are millennials, 1981 to 95. The Gen Zers, 96 to 15. And Generation Alpha?
They don't have a name for it yet. That's why they're calling it that.
Yeah, it should be Generation Shit Show.
Exactly. But they don't have a name for it.
No, the sad thing is that's not even them. It's the Gen Zers that are screwing everything up.
Yeah,
the Generation Alphas are what? Not even 10 years old
yeah,
yet.
the Gen Z is in control right now. So you're right. They're the ones that
they're the ones screwing everything up right
biggest
now.
influence right now. But yeah.
Z is in take them back.
But I'm sure Generation Alpha will do their share to screw it up.
Oh, yeah, they're not any better off.
Definitely.
So I'm technically considered a millennial.
Who is?
Me.
You? Let me see.
I was born in 82.
Yes, you are.
I'm technically a millennial.
Yes,
That's terrifying.
Not technically. You are a millennial. It's
That
not
is
technical.
terrifying. Technically, I am. That's terrible.
So if we're going to break it down by generations, let's start with the greatest generation because,
Like that one?
yeah, we can do that.
Bam!
We can do that because, to me, that
Ooh,
is.
look at you, Christine. Hold on. Christine's a baby boomer, and he's a Gen Xer. Ooh, girl, looking at you, taking a baby home with you.
Oh boy,
Get him, Christine.
it's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. Technically, Keith's an Xer. He's a Gen Xer, and I'm a millennial.
Yes, you are.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying. But anyway, speaking about greatest generations, as you're reading here, it's more than
Hey, do I get to count in there a little bit?
no.
No? Okay.
Absolutely.
So the greatest generation, 1901 to 1927, we had the progressive era. We had World War I. The Roaring Twenties. Those were the ones with the dresses with like
the flappers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would have loved to be a
We're
flapper.
going to talk about that about my grandma. So we're going to.
Your grandma was a flapper?
Yeah, she was. We're going to talk about that.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
We had the Spanish flu pandemic.
Yes, we did. 1918, I think. Right?
Yes. The invention of the radio, telephone, and automobile.
Yes, I remember that.
The world You remember that? You were there then?
I was there with the radio, that's for sure.
The stock market crash, the golden age of Hollywood, Batman and Superman,
Yeah.
and then music, jazz, folk, gospel, blues, and swing. We could have swing and the flappers.
Yeah. Now you had swing, but what is the golden age of Hollywood? Batman and Superman. What the hell does that mean?
I think that's when they came out, right, honey?
Not to my
Yeah,
knowledge.
that's when those characters were developed.
You mean the
okay.
characters were developed?
Yeah, not
Oh,
movies.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, but getting back to you call it the progressive era, I call it just what it is, the greatest generation. I don't think there'll ever be another generation like those people. They were amazing. What they went through and what they did to save this country and keep this country going is amazing. It'll never happen again. I'm confident in that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I don't want to sound down with this because there are still a lot of young people today that are good people, and they.
But you have to have everything going on too to
Exactly.
be able to have that.
Exactly. So, World War I was terrible. It's the war that was supposed to end all wars. It was the Great War. It was the war that nobody wanted, but everybody got. We tried to stay out of it until 1918, and unfortunately, Woodrow Wilson, I believe, was the president, dragged us into that war. It was not a good war. The things that happened in that war, like the chemical weaponry, the gassing of the.
That's when the
troops.
orange whatever stuff was used, right? Or was that
No,
World
that's
War
in
II?
Vietnam.
Okay.
Wrong war.
Not even close.
No. But anyway, they went through hell in that war, and they came back, and there was no rehabilitation. The veterans came back. They tried to help them. A lot of them were disfigured, especially facial disfigurements, and they tried to do things for them.
Well, back then there wasn't much
No, there wasn't much.
healthcare wise,
No.
so
Well, what they did is they created masks for them that they could put
Yeah.
on so they didn't look so ugly
Yeah.
and stuff. But it was a terrible war. And, fortunately we won that war and Germany lost and we moved on, but only for a short time.
Yeah.
The Roaring Twenties is interesting because my grandma was part of that era. And I sat down with her and talked to her in length about this. I never wrote it down, which I can kick myself in the butt for, but I remember a lot of it. Considering I'm 80, that's pretty good. She told me about a bunch of things about the Roaring Twenties. It was exciting. It was dangerous. It was unbelievable. It was immoral. It was all the things that.
Well, it was after. So the war was in 1918.
Right.
And then
that
you
was
had.
over. It was over.
Well,
then.
but yeah. So it ended in 1918. Then you had the pandemic.
Right.
And then you had the Roaring Twenties. So that was everything coming back from that.
Everything coming, and
So
that's
it was
why
the money and the jobs.
That's
and
why
the,
it was just a crazy time. They were celebrating.
Yeah.
They wanted to live life.
Absolutely,
And-
because they just watched everybody die.
Right. And my grandma told me about, she was living in Chicago at the time, raising my mother and my uncle. And she was married to an Italian mobster. I won't name his name, but they were very close. They knew Frank Nitti and Al Capone and some of those other people. In fact, my grandmother told me she went out to dinner a couple of times with Frank Nitti in Chicago. She also, when they went back to New York, because he was part of the organized crime and he was a big gambler, he introduced her to Dutch Schultz, I believe, and they went out to dinner a couple of times. So she had quite an interesting young life. They lived in a mansion in Chicago. They had a housemaid, a butler, a chauffeur. They were doing great because he was a big gambler, and of course he was making money in organized crime. So he was doing well, but then he lost it all. Between the depression and gambling, they were busted. When they went back to New York and they got divorced, she actually lived on the jewelry she had for almost 10 years, hawking it a little
I'm
bit at a
sure.
time, because that's the only way she could do it.
Yeah.
But she told me some interesting things about that time. But the biggest thing I got out of it is all they wanted to do was have fun.
Party. Absolutely.
The college kids were crazy. Everybody was crazy. Drinking, like Prohibition, everybody drank anyway. Didn't matter.
Didn't make a difference.
It was just crazy, the whole thing. So
That's awesome, though.
yeah, that was the Roaring Twenties. Yep.
That sounds like so much fun. And you got to wear those cool dresses.
And she was a flapper.
That's so cool.
She told me about the dances, the Charleston and some of the other dances, and how they were very free with their emotions.
I'm
I don't know
sure.
how to say that, but it was just a crazy, crazy era. So again, you talked about the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
That was prior to the 20s, actually, but
Yeah.
it did definitely have an impact on the.
Well, but that
on the
changed
country.
with the war ending, and then as soon as everybody got back from the war, the Spanish flu
Yes,
broke out.
yep.
So you didn't really have time to recoup,
No.
let alone build anything. And so then
right.
after that, then you finally started to rebuild.
Exactly, and it was bad because a lot of people died. It wasn't a joke.
Everybody died from the war, and then everybody died from the Spanish flu.
But the thing is, they didn't have the advanced medical.
No, they didn't know anything what to do.
No, they finally figured out. Wait a minute, we have a problem in the hospital. We have all the windows closed. We have to open all the windows.
Well, they didn't realize that until they
Exactly.
realized that it was
And
airborne.
Believe it or not, when they opened all the windows,
started letting
the
fresh
death
air
rate
in.
started to go down.
Oh, absolutely, because
They-
it's fresh air.
Yeah, they weren't. They were still dying, but not at the same.
Not at
rate.
the same rate. Yeah.
it
No,
was-
absolutely.
It was interesting. Yeah, we've come a long way from that. But then again, we had
We don't open our windows in the hospitals.
we had the COVID of. We don't have to tell everybody.
We had the
about
next
that.
pandemic.
So yeah, until the next one, right?
We didn't
God,
open the windows.
God forbid. I don't know. Anyway, so that was the Spanish flu. Then you're talking about the invention of the radio, telephone, and automobile. Now, I wasn't there when they were invented, regardless of what my daughter-in-law thinks. I wasn't there.
No, you should have been there to get me a Model T, Dad.
But I do remember when the radio was popular, because we didn't have a television.
Well, radio was huge until like the
1950,
60s.
49, 50 was when TV started to come in.
But even
popular.
still, it wasn't around
no.
in homes
No, not every
until
home. Every third or fourth
late
home.
60s, early 70s. I
Yeah.
would say it was in every home.
Late 50s. Late 50s. It was in
Every home, yeah.
Everybody had a home, black and white anyway.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I remember, and I can't explain why, but I remember sitting with my sister in front of the radio, staring at it as
Like it's
the
gonna do
shows came
something.
on, and it was like a precursor for television, because you were looking at this radio and listening to the dialogue
Yeah,
and the
it's
voices.
not like you were doing something else.
And you could vision the
Yeah.
story, because they were so good at their sound effects
Yeah.
and everything. But it was sort of like a precursor to television, which crept right up behind it.
Yeah. That's funny, though.
If you think about one of my favorite stories is Orson Welles and the World of Worlds, that people really thought it was an alien invasion.
Absolutely, and they did think that. That was in 1939, I believe, or 38.
Yeah.
And they actually did believe it all the way. I mean, there were people that were killing themselves, running, panic in the streets, and they tried to come on and quiet everything down. And I think even Orson Welles himself came on and said, it's only a radio show. It's not real. But it was too late by now. It was a mess for a while. Very real. He did. I mean, you could say what you want. It was terrible what they did, but he was a genius.
But again, also with, like you said, the way it's presented, like it was real. It wasn't
Convincing.
Yeah.
Absolutely convincing. I mean, if I'd have been sitting there, I would have thought the Martians are coming too. It was crazy. Crazy.
Dad would have got on his tinfoil hat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know why we say Martian. All I think is Marvin the Martian.
Well, I don't know about who. I don't know who Marvin the Martian is, but that this was supposed to be a
From
Martian.
Looney Tunes?
Oh, okay. Now I know
In
who
the
it is.
little green with
Yeah,
the
with
pew
the
pew and
little-
his little gun.
Something with his head.
Yeah, like a hat or something on. Yeah.
Now, I remember him now. But yeah, it was intimidating for a long. I mean, people they were trying to sue Orson Welles and everything, but he really technically didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong.
He
You fell
presented
for
a
it.
show, you know.
Yeah,
But
you
was
fell
good.
for it.
Yeah,
Well, and then especially you have radio sports.
yeah.
Huge. I still have aunts and uncles who will not watch the game. They listen to it.
There's nothing better than listening to a baseball game
It
on
is
the radio.
so good.
It's so if they're good at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
It's like being right there on the field. I mean, I remember the old days in the early '50s when we didn't have a TV yet, and I used to listen to the Dodgers on the radio and stuff. It was just like being on the field.
Mm-hmm. That's
and I used to
crazy.
go to the Ebbets Field. I was a Dodger fan at the time, Brooklyn Dodger. I used to go to the field with my grandma. She used to take me to 2 or 3 games a year. And I'd sit there and I'd be in awe of what I saw. But then I would go home and listen to another game and still picture the field.
And you can picture it, yeah.
It was fantastic.
Absolutely. Because once you see it, you can picture it. And the way they're describing everything, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was amazing. Yep. Unbelievable. Now I see you put down the stock market crash here. That was a disaster.
I don't know anything about that one.
Well, what happened was, I mean, obviously
Was this what brought the Great Depression?
it
was the
started
stock market
it.
crash?
Yes,
Okay.
it started it. Yes, it just wiped out everybody. I mean, we're talking about millionaires that suddenly were selling apples on the street. I mean, it really was bad.
Oh, crap. That's kind of big.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it was disaster. So many people killed themselves, jumped out of windows.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not something that
That's why we can't open windows in the hospital
exactly
anymore,
suicide. Yeah, so it was bad, and yes, it did bring on the depression.
Okay.
It was something that I didn't experience because it was like I said, it was in 1929, so I wasn't around. But
Yeah.
contrary to what my daughter thinks, I wasn't
Why is it
around.
going to be me?
But anyway,
Hand me your
yeah,
bottle.
it was bad.
So you didn't get to stand in line for bread or anything?
No, but I'm going to talk about that in the next generation
Oh,
a
okay,
little
so
bit.
that's not in this one.
No, but I mean, there were people standing in line. They, it's like they had what they call soup stores and soup
Soup
shops,
kitchens, uh-huh.
soup kitchens, and believe it or not, most of them were furnished and financed by gangsters.
Oh, I'm sure they
like
were.
Dutch Schultz and Al Capone, people like that. They actually spent money to bring these shops in, these soup shops or soup stores, whatever you call
Yeah.
it, so people could eat because it was bad.
Aw.
It was very bad.
That's so sweet.
But-
See, nobody likes the gangsters.
Yeah, well, they killed people too.
Yeah,
so.
well, people probably deserve to die.
You got to kind of put it in perspective there. But the saddest thing was watching children go hungry, which it still happens sadly today in the world.
Yeah.
And it's something we need to do something about. Because to me, the most irritating thing I can see is when I watch the television.
Oh my goodness! You watch TV
commercial-
show during the day, Dad. Of
I-
course,
well,
you get the
I-
puppies and kittens that are dying.
Exactly.
You get the children that are dying.
But I don't want to see a kid crying and hungry. It's wrong. We're too rich of a world to let that happen.
We're stupid. Look at our vets on the side of the
I
road.
know, but it doesn't
We
come.
can't figure that out.
But it doesn't just come down to the United States. It comes
No,
down
it's
to the
every
entire
country.
world. They need to do something about kids. Take
Not
care of
gonna do
kids.
anything.
I know.
But
It's
you
sad.
can't take care of kids because then they turn into stupid adults.
Well, let's
They
not
don't
get
stay
there.
cute kids forever.
Well, whatever. But anyway, that's what bothers me is the kids hurt more than anybody when it
Dad
comes.
watches TV during the day. That's
Yeah.
what bothers him.
Oh boy.
You need to stop that.
Anyway, golden age of Hollywood, Batman and Superman.
So
I'll
is
let-
that when they came out with like the comics and stuff?
Yeah, let Keith talk about that because I don't know what he's talking about. I could talk about the Golden Age, but I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't either.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
So is that when they came up with like the comic books and everything?
I think that's when the characters were developed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably comic books.
Probably DC Comics, yeah.
Probably.
The Golden Age of Hollywood went from the silent movies to the talkies, and it was like an overnight phenomenon. I mean, there was millions and millions of dollars put into productions of silent movies, and suddenly they came out with talking movies, and everybody panicked. What do they do now? I think Al Jolson's the jazz singer was the first one that came out, and everybody panicked. They didn't know what to do. They said, "What do we do now?" And they found out that half their stars couldn't talk. Well, they couldn't. They didn't have the voices.
They didn't know how to
for
sing,
sound.
yeah.
So they were in a lot of trouble. But they made the conversion gradually, and they became what we call Golden Age of Hollywood, which would be probably the 30s to the 40s, where they had some of the bigger
Yeah,
stars.
the bigger actors.
Clark
Well, that's when
Gable,
everybody was watching stuff
yeah,
too.
James Cagney, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford.
Because
all
this
those
wasn't
people.
even because we didn't even have TV and stuff yet. by
No,
1927,
this was all
so-
Hollywood. When you went to the movie as a kid, like when I went to the movies in the late 40s and the early 50s, it cost you 20 cents, 25 cents, and you stayed there all day.
Yeah, they didn't kick you out.
I mean, it was like you had a main feature, a B movie, newsreels, like 10 or 20 cartoons, God knows how many. But you actually went at like 12 noon, and you didn't get out of there until 5 o'clock. So it was like a built-in babysitter for your family.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Drop
really
the
great.
kids off and be like, bye.
But that's all you had. See, there was no television, so that's all you had.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was great. So Saturdays and Sundays were a big help to parents. They got rid of their kids for a few hours.
Hey,
So,
that's good. They
yeah.
can drop the kids off at the movies, and then
Yeah.
parents can go,
Yeah.
make more kids.
But going back to the Golden Age of Hollywood, the biggest year was 1939 when.
We're not there yet. We're at 1927. You can't skip ahead.
Where we are? Oh, okay.
No jumping ahead.
Well, then guess what? The Golden Age
Can I
of
get-
Hollywood really hasn't started yet. Go
Well,
ahead.
that's when he said Batman and Superman were developed.
Yes, and that's when sound
No,
started
no
to be-
sound yet.
Okay.
Next, so the Greatest Generation still.
Okay.
Of the 16 million Americans who served in World War II, 38% were from this generation.
Yeah,
The first TV was invented in 1927.
right, I remember that. But
He remembers that because he was there.
let's get back to the Americans that served in Second
Oh,
World
you
War.
wanted to go there back?
Well,
Okay.
it's important because
Absolutely.
nobody made more sacrifices for this country than the men and women during the Second World War. And I include the women. I know they weren't in combat.
No, but they had to take
but
care of
If
everything.
they didn't do what they did, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So they took care of the defense plants. They were on the assembly lines. They took care of the family at home while the men were away fighting. So everybody contributed to this war. That's why they call it the Greatest Generation. And they were. And they'll never be topped.
Nope.
Because they made, I watch some old documentary films on what these men did in battle. And I can tell you right now, I don't know how they did it. I mean, I could see them storming the beaches of Normandy or storming the beaches of Iwo Jima, and I don't know how they did it because it takes a certain amount of courage and determination and love for your country to do those things.
to just go in there and know you're not going to make it out.
And sadly, I don't think we have that anymore.
No,
And I just, my hat's off to them every time. When people ask me about the Greatest Generation, I say they're the tops in my book. No doubt about it.
Yep, I agree. So the first TV was invented. Let's see what the next one has. So the silent generation.
That's me.
That's you?
That's me.
So be silent.
Okay, I'll be silent. I didn't know. I thought we were called the war babies. That's what I thought we were called because we were born during a lot of us were born during the war.
Yeah.
So we were always known as the war babies, but I guess we're called.
Because you were the ones that came back when Dad came back and knocked up Mom, and then Mom left.
Actually, when they were on liberty or leave, that's
Yeah.
when it happened.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, and then.
Oh yeah. But again, I didn't know this. I didn't know we were called the silent generation until we brought this up, because I thought I said we were war babies. But
Yeah.
either way,
Same thing.
it says known as the traditionalist generation. I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of us were born during the Great Depression.
Yep.
Some of us were born during World War II, which was me. the Korean War, Nazism, nuclear bomb. We'll talk about that too. Communism and the rise of the Soviet Union. So, I mean, yeah, this is all
That's a
part
lot of stuff that happened.
a lot of stuff that happens. But the Great Depression, we already talked about.
A little bit.
So, I mean, as far as the people who were born in 1928 and on, they did experience that because it happened it started in 1930, really.
Yeah.
So they were young babies.
But they still dealt
They
with it.
felt the pressure of it, yeah.
Yeah.
The lack of food, the lack of shelter sometimes, whatever. They were involved in it. So you have to add that to the equation.
No, absolutely. And then, potato soup and all that other good stuff.
Exactly.
Making everything at home
And
because you don't
meatless
have
Wednesdays.
anything.
Did I ever tell you about meatless Wednesdays? Mm-mm. Yeah, we had that for a long time. I think my mother pushed it a little bit longer than most people, but we had that for a while.
Yeah.
Which meant on Wednesdays you didn't eat meat. You ate cheese or
Vegetables or whatever. Yeah.
potatoes. We used to mash.
Or spaghetti, no
Yeah,
meatballs.
we used to mash potatoes, carrots, and something else together, and that would be our meal for the Wednesday.
Oh, there you go.
And sometimes we had a ketchup sandwich. It depends.
Oh,
But-
you mean wine sauce?
Wine sauce.
Wine gravy?
Yeah, wine gravy.
Ketchup is wine gravy. Make a note of that, y'all.
All right. But anyway, so yeah, it was something that people did to sacrifice for the sake of the military
Well,
at the time.
yeah.
And, I don't know if everybody...
Well, and so there was a cool thing that we saw when we went to the tractor pulls because, that's my family. So we went to the tractor pulls and there was this lady who had a World War II sock maker.
Yeah.
It was the machine and you hit the thing and
Yeah.
it would like knit the sock.
Knit the
It
sock.
was,
Cool. That was
so cool. It would put like the toe in, it would
Yeah.
do the heel. And she said before this, because they had so many women making the guys socks,
Yeah.
she said before this, it would take them forever. She said one woman, so the government like gave them out.
Yeah.
Gave out these things
Yeah.
and then they would give them like an allowance for bringing in like making socks all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like a lot of women did that because they were at home with the kids or whatever, or they just did it as a side job too, is they would just make socks.
They had, and coming from that, they had other apparatuses or inventions that made other things too.
Oh, yeah.
Potholders and all kinds of
Oh,
different,
yeah.
where they could do it quickly.
Yeah.
As opposed, it wasn't.
Instead of hand knitting,
Yeah.
like it was quick. You literally sat there and like cranked it and it stitched it end over end in a circle and it made
Right.
the whole sock. It was so cool.
It was between doing it yourself and assembly line. It was somewhere
Yeah.
in between.
Yep.
And it moved fast.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, they could sit there. I think she said they made a sock in like 2 hours or 3 hours or something. They could make a pair of socks instead
Yeah.
of a day. They could only make one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, and everybody was doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, socks was a priority during the Second
Socks
World
was
War.
huge. Yeah, I guess that's what they were shipping them
Well,
over like crazy.
Because they were fighting in the jungles, they were fighting
Mm-hmm.
in cold weather and things like that. They needed socks. That was the first thing that went, was
Yeah.
the socks. And once your socks go, your feet go.
Yeah, once
And
you get socks, then you get sores, then you're done.
Once your feet go, you're out of service.
Yep,
You're in the hospital. So
Yeah.
it was important.
that's cool.
But talking about World War II, I guess it's a big hang up with me because I was fascinated by what happened in World War II, everything that went on. And so I always focused on it a little more than most people. But what happened in World War II and the way the country got together and united, because we weren't in agreement on World War II. I don't know if, I don't know how many people know this, but half the country didn't want to get into World War II. It took Pearl Harbor for
To
us
really
to get
push
into
everybody
it.
over the edge.
And even that made some people resistant to
Yeah.
going into war. We were done with war. The First World War did it for us. We didn't want any more.
Well, and they saw that. That's the thing, is it wasn't a big enough space in between
Right.
for people to forget. These guys are still thinking, gee, my oldest brother just got killed in World War
Exactly.
One. My grandfather did. My father did. This isn't.
Or they got disfigured or whatever.
Yeah, you're not even in, but you have less than one generation in between.
So half of the people
So-
were isolationists.
Yeah, they all still know
They
this.
want to let us mind their own business and move on. But
Mm-hmm. They didn't want to get involved
certainly,
because
yeah, that was not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because we were in the middle of a world war where Nazism and the Japanese Empire were determined to take over the world.
Yeah.
And they didn't care how they do it. And the atrocities and the violence and the mayhem that they caused early in the war certainly changed everybody's attitude. That's where Hollywood came in.
Yeah.
And they started making these documentaries and promoting, Americanism and let's fight for our liberty and our republic and for the freedoms of the world.
Yep.
And people bought into it. And that's why everybody enlisted and everybody went.
Yeah.
I don't think that would happen today, but back then people believed in the country and they loved the country, so they went and they fought. And a lot of young men died and never saw adulthood, as you might want to say. They died at 17, 18, 19 years old.
Yep.
And they never got a chance to have a family or live a life, nothing. They put it all on the line for this country. And people today don't appreciate that. No. I'm not talking about the folks that are watching, because I know you do. I'm talking about
in general, because they don't know.
The younger generation doesn't know.
So, and that's something else. So you have the last generation that had World War I.
Right.
Okay. So then you have less than 30 years later, World War II.
Right.
So you have two generations that know what war is like, know what you can lose. We haven't had that.
No.
These kids have no idea.
No, they're not taught.
The worst thing that's happened was we had the Iranian war or whatever in the 90s.
The Middle East, yeah.
The Middle Eastern war, but that wasn't even that bad for us. I mean, we shipped off some kids, but it's not like they were knocking on your door stealing your kids.
No, but these young men and women did die. I mean,
they did, but it's nothing like it was before, and these kids know nothing of it.
No comparison.
Nope. So both my dad's parents were in World War II. My grandfather was something in the Air Force.
Okay.
I don't know what. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
And then my grandmother was a pharmacist for the Navy.
I know, you told me that, right?
I know.
She got buried in the National Cemetery.
Yep, she's in the National. She gets her own plot. She's not the wife plot on the back like everybody else. She gets her own one.
Sure, she's a veteran.
So
absolutely.
we went. So grandma died first before grandpa 10 years before. And so she's a little stinkler like me. I think I'm her reincarnated.
It might be.
Little feisty thing. So we went to the cemetery, and she's the only. So they have it in like sections, I guess is the best way in the military area. Like they have them in sections. She's the only girl, the only female.
Yeah, well, that's a credit to her.
So then we had to like wander around and find there was another one, but
yeah, no, that's a credit to her, and that's the way it should be. I mean, she should have been treated like a hero.
Oh yeah,
she was a hero.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So
I had my father, who I didn't know, was in the Second World War. He was in the Navy. That's about all I know about him. But my wife's father won the Purple Heart, the Bronze Heart.
We have him downstairs.
He was a medic.
That's
and he
cool.
was in the Philippines, and he got all kinds of awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's something to be proud of.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's really neat.
He did a good job, yeah. And
That's awesome.
and being a medic or a corpsman back
worst job ever.
Even today, but back then
Worst job ever.
Because they were the first people, the Japanese and the Germans tried.
Oh
to
yeah,
kill.
that's why they told him. What was it? Brokeback Mountain.
I
Sorry,
think that's a wrong film.
The
You talk about Hacksaw Ridge.
yes, and that was the first thing they told him was take that thing off your arm because
Yes.
they're gonna go for you
Absolutely, that's the first ones they go
hairy
for.
legs.
first. Shut
I
up,
got hairy legs.
Who's putting that on?
Keith.
What are you doing with that? You don't like what we're saying?
He's making fun of me because I don't remember what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I was making fun of her Brokeback Mountain.
This girl smells funny.
Okay. So anyway, what you say is very true, though.
And ideally, think about it. Like if I'm going after you, what's the first person I'm going to take out? The one who can save you.
the guy that's going to help you. Yep, absolutely. So those guys were heroes.
Yes, honey.
I don't know that it's a fair statement to say that people who went through Desert Storm and that war didn't understand what they were fighting for. I think they were exposed to a completely different culture during that war. They saw things that nobody's ever seen before. Like you deal with a group that has no regard for life. And I think we saw stuff over there that really caused a lot of PTSD, in the soldiers. Not saying that the World War II didn't, but we were experiencing something totally different, I think.
Well, I agree with you to a point, but you have to understand that during the Second World War, especially in the Pacific, the Japanese were fanatics. And they had their soldiers convinced you have to die for your country. You never surrender. So it was pretty much the same thing. They would give their lives up, whether they strapped themselves with grenades or whatever they did, and kill themselves before they surrender. So I would say there was a very similar situation between the Middle East and the Pacific War. But I agree with you. I think the war in the Middle East was different in a lot of ways. It was more political. It was more, let's play this thing out in a different way. I mean, you saw what happened with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. That would have never happened under Eisenhower or MacArthur or any of those people. I can tell you that right now. So we're fighting politics along with war now.
Which is sad. It shouldn't be that.
It is sad. It is sad. Because the only people that pay the price are the young men and women.
Our kids, are the people going over there fighting it.
That's true.
There's nobody in politics who's over there actually losing their life or losing their kids or losing any of their family.
Very true.
It's all the worker bees like us that are all losing our people trying to fight their game.
That's true. Are we reading any of the comments?
We're reading them. Are you like...
I can't see them.
Are you going through withdrawals because you can't type?
No, I can't see the comments, but I'm saying, are you reading the comments?
I'm not reading them. Keith's in charge of the comments. I'm not in charge of that.
Are we making any comments on the comments?
We are reading them, yes.
I'm putting them up there.
Mama Cat said every veteran should be proud for serving, and we're proud of every veteran for serving. You guys are the ones who've kept us in line and kept us trying to fight for our country as good as it can be. So we thank all of you guys for it.
Definitely. As far back as you can go, up till including now.
All the way to the beginning.
I don't want people to think that I don't respect the men and women that fight today, because I do tremendously.
Even more today, because you're dealing with even more of the politics.
Absolutely. But, I respect every veteran and every man and woman that's serving right now.
That has made that decision to put their life for the country.
Absolutely.
Whether it gets taken, whether it doesn't, they get to go home to their families.
Yep.
They still made that decision going in that they would give up their life for this country.
Right.
So.
Are you reading?
Good job.
Are you reading any more? I can't see anything.
Am I reading what?
These comments. I can't see anything.
It says, I agree, Andrea.
Oh, okay.
Mama Cat put a purple heart. She says exactly, Dan. Do you want me to read everyone?
Yeah.
Are you going through withdrawals? He's going through withdrawals. I can't see.
They're taking the time to put the things on there. Let's read them.
We're not reading every single comment.
Whatever. Read a couple.
We did read a couple.
Okay.
Oh my God, he's going through withdrawals.
Let's talk about the Korean War, because now we're talking about something.
You know about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit sensitive, because the Korean War was another one of these wars that we didn't want to get into.
Is there a war that we've ever wanted to get into?
Not really.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, not really. So anyway, the Korean War, Harry Truman wanted to stay out totally. I don't know if anybody knows President Truman, but he took over for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. When Roosevelt died, he took over the office. And his famous line was, "The buck stops here." And he was right. The buck does stop at the president. But he tried to stay out of the Korean War. But once he got into it, because what happened was...
Oh, she says, Dan's the best. A real treat to hear him talk with us.
Oh, thank you.
Tell him that crap.
Thank you, hon. I appreciate that. But anyway, he was forced into the war because the Chinese decided to go over the border and attack Korea. And once they did that, we had no choice but to go in and defend South Korea. So that's why we got into the war. But nobody ever called it a war. They called it a police action.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the hell that means, it was a war. We lost thousands.
We were over there shooting people. That's a war.
We lost thousands and thousands of men, Marines, soldiers. I mean, it was just ridiculous what happened over there. And it was not an easy war to fight. I spent 13 months over there. And the weather there is unbelievable. In the winter, it's unbearable. It's freezing. It's cold all the time. It snows. It's just unbelievable.
So it's like New York.
Exactly. Worse than New York. Worse than New York. And in the summer, it's like 100 degrees and humid all the time.
Oh, my goodness. Really? It's that big of a change?
Big of a change. So you're out there fighting the war under these conditions, and mostly in the wintertime. And these Marines and these soldiers did everything they could to stop the advance of the Chinese. And they managed to hold them at the 38th parallel, and eventually there was a truce drawn, but nobody ever surrendered. So it's still
what happened?
It's still a tentative truce to this day. There's been no solution to the problem. the North Koreans still threaten the South Koreans.
Well,
every day.
they're always going to fight.
Yeah, and the South Koreans are on alert every day. When I was in the service and I served over there, we were on alert 24/7 all the time because they could come over the border anytime, and there was nothing stopping them.
Yeah, it's literally just, well, gee, it sounds like our border issue.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah,
We have a wall at least. Did you have a wall?
Well, only thing was that the enemy had weapons there, which made it a little bit more difficult. But it was a tough war, and when we finally had a truce, I mean, it's been that way since then. And this is what, that 20.
Till they forget. I don't know.
What's today's date?
1945 to 20, so 80 years.
No,
Gee,
it was
Dad.
actually 1952 to now.
52 to now, so however many years that is.
It's been a long time, but the truce is still in, but very tentative. So that's a war that these veterans that fought in that war will never forget it, and they never got the recognition. And
It wasn't actually a war; it was a police action.
exactly, and it never got what they deserved, and it's a shame. But that doesn't go anywhere near what we're going to talk about later with Vietnam. But let's go on from here. Nazism. Is that what you say?
Nazism.
Well, everybody knows about Adolf Hitler and what he tried to do. He wanted to conquer the world.
Can I
Yeah, go ahead, man.
not get kicked
Sure.
out of the family when I say this?
Sure, go ahead.
Does that mean I'm not going to get kicked out?
You might get kicked out. I don't know. We'll see.
Too bad. I'm taking half his crap. And his dog. So he can't kick me out. So I actually debated that Hitler wasn't crazy. That he actually had a good idea.
Well,
Executed poorly.
when you say he had a good idea, articulate that.
A good idea in wanting to make his country better.
He did, because they were starving. They were still struggling for the First World War. They had nothing. Bread was like $20 a loaf or something. And I mean, the people couldn't live. They were struggling every day. So he wanted to pull them out of that and make them a great country again. So yes,
Which he tried.
he did. Well, he tried the wrong way, but he
That was
tried.
poorly executed. But
yeah,
good intentions.
Because he bought into the same philosophy
Schmuck that everybody else does.
He bought into the same philosophy that the Democrats are buying into today, and that is that. All right,
Communism's good.
Well, no, that you have to blame somebody for everything,
Of course.
and if you blame somebody and you target that person, people are going to follow you, and that's exactly what they did. They blame people,
And then they target them.
and they targeted them, and we know who we're talking
And not
about.
correctly targeting people
Right.
that had anything to do with anything. But, just like us with our red hats.
Well, whatever. But I'm just saying, in that case, they blamed the Jews, they blamed the Gypsies, they blamed the Catholics, they blamed
Everybody
people
other than themselves.
who were different than them, and the German people bought into it at first.
Well, can you blame them?
No,
they had nothing. They were going to blame somebody.
Right, but it was a disaster. He was
Poorly executed.
He was an evil man, no doubt about it.
Yes.
He deserved whatever he got, if he got it. That's
Who
still
knows?
debatable. But I mean, he was evil, pure evil, just like Joseph Stalin was pure evil.
Yeah.
So evil begets evil, and I don't know what else to say about it. But Nazism and what they almost accomplished, and they almost accomplished.
Oh, they were
it.
close.
It's scary to think what they could have did to the world if they.
Think how much it would have changed everything.
It was terrible, terrible.
You're eliminating races.
Right.
You're eliminating history.
But what?
But now we're just not going to write it in history books anymore. It didn't happen.
No. But what did happen is the American know-how and the American energy and the American belief in democracy and freedom won out.
Yeah.
You can always beat evil if you believe in your cause and you fight on.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. That's why they are called the greatest generation. They never quit. Even when they lost, they never quit. No. They just kept fighting, and eventually they won. Yep. And that's what it takes. So goodbye to Nazism. That was it.
Goodbye. And now we have the nuclear bomb.
And America was the beacon back then. Now he takes up that mantle.
Yep.
Well, nobody right now.
Nope.
There are people that want to take it up, but
nobody has it right now.
See, everything has changed now, because back then people had a chance to express themselves and they had a chance to balance and evaluate the information that was out there.
But they got the information.
Right. Today,
nowadays, you don't get the information.
No, you get it, but it's all perverted.
Well, you don't get it. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually get the correct information.
No, you don't. You get the perverted
You get
version.
whatever they've manipulated it to be, so
That's-
you can make the decision based on what they gave you, which isn't even the right information.
And that's the problem. That's exactly.
Let me get the information and I'll make the decision.
If you
from
tell
there.
the American people the truth, they'll respond. Trust me. They will. But today,
You don't tell them the truth.
the American people are divided because half of them believe one side and half of them believe the other.
Keith,
And
go
it-
with that today.
And it doesn't matter which side you're on. The problem is there's two sides instead of one side. It should be the American people.
Should
and
be
the truth.
America.
And that's the whole thing.
Well,
What?
it's not going to be because it's not about America anymore.
No.
It's about me
Well,
and you hurt my feelings.
I
and
just don't wanna-
I'm whatever. And
I just don't want to piss off YouTube here, so we have to be careful there. I'm just saying there's two sides to every story. I grant you that, but we need to unite as a people.
there
That's
is two
all.
sides to every story, but you need to tell the story and then let people
Yes.
pick their side.
Yes.
We're not telling the story. We're not even letting people be able to hear the right story.
Only the story they want to tell.
Only whatever they want.
That's not good.
No.
That's not good.
Then we have communism, which we.
Well, we didn't get to the nuclear bomb yet.
Oh, I thought we just talked about the nuclear
No, we
bomb.
didn't talk to nuclear bomb. Okay, of course, everybody knows that in 1945, the American President Truman decided to end the war in the Pacific because he was told by his commanders and military leaders that attacking Japan on their home front would cost at least 1 million American lives, and he wasn't willing to
Sacrifice
pay
that.
pay that price.
Good job.
So they decided to drop the bomb, and they dropped it on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and eventually the Japanese surrendered.
And when did the nuclear plant explode? That was recently, right?
Which plant are you talking about? There's been a couple of them. That exploded.
Babe, Chernobyl?
Chernobyl is in Russia.
Yeah, and it was
That was
Chernobyl was in the 1980s.
in the 80s. I was going to say that was in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I want to go there so bad. You can go there now.
But the point is that
FYI.
because of the bombs being dropped, everybody decided to arm themselves with nuclear weapons.
Yeah, now everybody has one.
China, the U.S.
Well, and the funny thing is, so everybody has these nuclear bombs, right? Like literally everybody has one. So what's going to happen? You think anybody's going to pull that trigger?
It could be.
They're literally going to kill the world.
It could be. It's not impossible
Because as soon as you hit that button, you're killing everybody else because you know everybody else is going to hit that button.
Well, from what I understand, and please, YouTube, don't quote me on this, but I understand from what I read today that Russia has put nuclear weapons on the border of the Ukraine. Now,
Doesn't surprise me.
I'm not sure if that's accurate, so I'm telling that right now, but that's what I understand. If that's the case, we're that much closer to a disaster. It only takes one mistake to create a devastating effect for the entire world. I mean, let's face it. You don't drop a nuclear bomb and go, whoops.
Oopsies.
You
My
just
bad.
don't. I mean, you're talking about
Let me
a
get the towel and clean that up.
major catastrophe, and it's going to affect the
Well,
world.
and it's going to ruin everything there. So we get all of our like rice and grains. Most of our rice and grains come from Ukraine, as I'm sure we're seeing now because it's been over a year.
I didn't even know that.
So most of the rice and grains. So within this year, we'll start seeing the shortages of things like that because they didn't get to plant last year.
Yeah.
And it takes about a year for it to get here. So next year, it's going to be even worse because, again, they haven't planted. So as soon as you drop that nuclear bomb, you're ruining all of that.
And people know that.
All
but,
of that ground, all of those seeds.
But everything relies on one person, the leader
know.
of that particular country. And that's the problem.
Somebody should bite him, Bill.
The problem is we have no control over that one person, and that's what's wrong.
We have no control over anything. We can't control our own country. You
No.
think we can control anything
Exactly.
else?
That's the whole point. So every country has to be that much more diligent and aware of what they can get done with a leader that's crazy or out of touch with reality. And we have a lot of people like that.
But we
that
have
fit
that in
bill.
our whole...
Yeah, we have that.
We have that in our low carb. Keep this in mind. I know, right? He's happy that there's no more bread and rice. But we don't have anybody in charge of our country that knows what's going on.
No, we don't. Well,
So how
yes,
are
we
we-
do. No, that's not true. We have The people up front don't know what's going on, but the people in the background know exactly what's
Yes,
going
but
on.
the people who are the face have no idea what's
No,
going on.
no
So
clue.
how are we supposed to be a help to anybody? If they do throw this nuclear bomb, what are we going to do?
We can't help ourselves right now.
No,
I don't
what are we
know.
going to do? That nuclear bomb could be sitting there at their
That's
border, but could be pointed at us. How
Yeah.
do we know?
it's an impossible question to answer.
How far do they go?
Well, let's go back to the bomb again. And I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but it was really a race against beating the enemy to building this thing because the Germans had the technology to do it, and we stole that from them.
They were that close, that close.
Right.
The reason that they didn't make it is we stole their top scientists. And
And he couldn't get over the finish line.
we grabbed him, and he's the one that made the difference. They would have used it, no doubt about it. They would have
Oh,
used it.
absolutely.
And then where was
If
the
he had his
world?
hands on it.
Yeah,
Yep, he'd have been done.
he'd have been.
He'd have done it.
He would have used it, no doubt about it. Yep. And it's scary to think that that could have happened, but it could have happened. Very real. Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah. But I remember as a kid in elementary school, going back in time,
Go ahead.
we used to practice air raids every day in school, where we go under the desk and hide our heads and put our arms over our heads
Keith did too.
and shelter from the potential of a nuclear attack. Now, first of all, it's
Hiding under that desk.
It's ridiculous.
Ain't really gonna do you
What is
good.
the desk going to do for you if they drop a bomb? Nothing. It was.
But if it's far enough away and the building falls on you,
Well, what it was
Sure.
was it was a reassurance that we got everything under control, and that if something happens, we'll be able to take care of it. But it was a false narrative.
False sense of security.
Because we all know what happens when a nuclear bomb drops.
well, and when did that change? Because Keith did it growing up.
I would say
but
it
we
changed
didn't.
in the 1980s.
Yeah, we didn't do it growing up.
I would say it changed in the
But
1980s.
again, is that an East Coast, West Coast thing? Or was that, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It was a 1980s thing. I think after the 70s,
They kinda let it go.
They kind of let it go. Yeah.
So I'm like, I never heard about
I
that.
mean, I can't speak for all the West Coast. I don't know, but I know the East Coast stopped it in the late 70s. Yeah, I don't know about the West Coast.
Who was our president at the time of the nuclear bomb, Dad?
Harry Truman.
There you go.
Yeah, he was a Democrat. Not that I'm not saying that to be.
He was a
political.
good old-fashioned Democrat, though.
You know
They're
what?
not like the
Yes,
ones
he
you build
was.
now.
He was. He was a good man. I don't want anybody to misunderstand
It's
me.
the
when
good
I say that.
old-fashioned ones.
He didn't take no shit from nobody. I remember him and MacArthur. MacArthur was one of my favorite generals.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas MacArthur, one of my favorites. But I give Harry Truman credit. He didn't take no shit from MacArthur either.
Nope.
He was the boss, and you either did what he did or you got fired. And he fired MacArthur.
Oh, seriously?
Yep, he fired MacArthur. And MacArthur
What?
was one of his best generals.
Yeah.
They had their disagreements about Korea.
Yeah.
And he fired him. Yep.
That's
So
crazy.
Harry Truman, is, Democrat or no Democrat, he was a good president.
That was because he was a good. You remember those drills, Christine? I don't. So maybe
what-
it was an 80s thing.
Weren't the drills the result of the Cuban Missile Crisis? More so than it was.
No, it was
the
before
atomic
that.
bomb?
Way before that.
For us, I'm saying in the 80s, we would still be hiding from a bomb in the 40s.
What grade did
Yeah,
you?
Yes, in reality, you are. Because
Right.
the Cuban crisis was played down by a lot of the media because we don't realize how close we were to a major event because we were this close to a war where Russia would have got involved and it could have been a nuclear disaster because Khrushchev was nuts. And so you had to watch that. But it was still all the stuff we were practicing and having our children practice was all based on the bombs from the Second World War, the nuclear bombs.
But if it wasn't for the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis, we probably would have forgot about the atomic
Yes,
bomb at that
yes,
time.
yes, that's a fair point. Yes, we would have. That just aggravated
on
the
alert,
situation.
yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That was I was in the Air Force at the time, and I remember when that happened. I hate to tell war stories, but that's okay. I like to talk. I was in Ohio at the time in the Air Force, and we got an emergency alert that we had to get on a plane, and we were going to Bermuda because of the Cuban crisis, the missile crisis. And we were on the plane, and we were on the way there, and suddenly we landed, and I looked out the plane, and everything was snow. I go, what the hell is
You're
this?
like, this doesn't look like Cuba.
This is not Bermuda. So we wound up in Goose Bay, Labrador, for like 60 or 90 days with summer uniforms. They had to reissue
Oh, that
uniforms
is
to
not
it.
the
Yeah.
same thing.
No, because you're talking about like 20 below, constantly snowing, dark all the time.
See, there's a reason why I did not join the military.
Exactly. So anyway, but I mean, this is what happened during that time because they really thought we were very close to war. So everybody was on alert, and every air base, every U.S. Army fort, every naval station, we were all on alert for the Cuban crisis because nobody knew where it was going to go. And if it wasn't for, I hate to say this because I'm not a Democrat, but if it wasn't for JFK and his guts and his determination to resist Khrushchev, it could have been bad. But he called Khrushchev's bluff, and Khrushchev turned around all the ships that were headed for Cuba, and that was the end of the crisis.
That's crazy.
Yep. I can't believe I said nice things about two Democrats. Oh.
Those were like, there's a difference.
It's true. I got to give credit where credit is. Yep.
Like Jay said, those drills kept going on, but they changed it to tornado drills, but it was the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we never, again, when was the last time you remember doing those? What grade? Do you remember?
For me, it was elementary school.
So like when you went to 6th grade, they stopped?
So what year was that?
So in high school, we had bomb shelters. So we would do drills down at the bomb shelter.
But you still did the drill,
Yeah.
like to go down there.
Yep.
So that was all the way through high school?
What year was that?
92, 93.
Wow, I didn't think it was going that far. Wow.
See, we never, and I mean, I know I'm a baby, and that's fine, and I was in,
Yeah, but
I mean, I graduated 01, so I was in grade school in the early 90s. We never did.
Yeah, but you were in Arizona. Nobody's going to
That's
bomb.
true. Nobody's going to bomb
Who's
Arizona.
going to bomb
It's
Arizona?
freaking hot. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
We're not near the ocean or anything, so we wouldn't be the
Right,
first.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. Nothing happens here. So we didn't get tornado or earthquakes or nothing. They were like, hey, don't die on the playground. That'd be great.
Exactly.
So, communism.
Yeah, well, let's talk about communism. I mean, you have half of this country right now that seems...
I agree that California should still be doing earthquake drills because that's terrifying.
Yeah, they are.
Just saying.
And they have a lot of them, so...
Oh, don't even talk about it. This is why I don't live in California. It freaks me out.
Yep.
Okay.
So, anyway, communism. The problem with communism is half the people in the world think it's the answer to everything. And it's not.
There's good stuff and bad stuff.
There's nothing good about it.
Well,
I'm going to tell you why.
it's... Okay. Tell me why.
I'll give you your argument in a second. But the thing is that the people that believe in communism, okay, name me one person.
Ian says, great interview.
Name one person that you can think of that's ever tried to leave here and go to a communist country.
Oh, that's nobody because they're not that stupid.
Well, what does that tell you?
No, I'm not saying that like communism is good. I'm saying there's good ideas in it.
Like what?
Like the fact that we're helping our homeless people, the fact that we're helping our elderly and we're helping the less fortunate. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Have you seen China? Have you seen Russia? Where are they?
No, I haven't been there.
Well,
But-
that's it. They haven't done that.
But that's what I'm saying. The theories are good. Just
Okay.
like Hitler had good theories as
That's
well.
fair.
Poorly executed. I think there's good theories in it, and that's what they're catching everybody on.
Why?
Oh, well, we're going to help these people, and oh, well, we're going to do this, and oh, we're going to do this.
Why do you think they don't do that in countries like Russia and China? Why? Because it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all. Communism doesn't work, period.
Exactly.
There's good ideas in theory,
Yes.
but we can't execute it.
But that's why it doesn't work.
I know.
You're right. If you
Poorly executed.
If you wanted to help everybody, it's great.
You can't help
it sounds
everybody.
like pie in the sky.
You have
It's
to.
great.
I mean, I'm all for helping people. Crap happens. things are terrible. I worked in healthcare too long, so I understand that stuff happens. Like, your husband dies, you get in a car accident, you can't work. I get all that. There needs to be those areas for those programs for you to be able to get the help. But the issue is then people live on them.
Right.
Like, if you're out of work, that's great. You get 3 months. You can't prove to me in 3 months you got a job, then we need to relook at this. Like, there needs to be things, but there has to be those programs to help you find things.
I agree with
Because
you.
what
You
if
go back, you look now in our country at the welfare system.
yes,
And you're telling me that we don't have the ability to help our veterans?
No.
And we don't have the ability to help our homeless?
Of course we do.
we do
Of
have
course
the
we do.
ability. We have the choice. We don't do it.
Right.
We don't do it because we're helping all the immigrants coming over and all the illegals coming over.
And what
We're
about-
helping them first.
And what about the billions of dollars we're sending overseas?
Yep, all that money too.
To countries that hate our guts.
So why would we help the people we have here? We have all these lovely little apartment buildings and hotels that are being torn down. Why are we not purchasing them and making them into homeless camps and making them into halfway houses and shelters to help push people and help get them places?
Let's talk about all the fast food places we have around here that at the end of the night they toss out
Every single thing away.
how much food. All because we're a sue happy country.
No,
And they're afraid of
not true.
getting sued.
So not true. So before I met Keith, I was a good person.
When
Not
was
really.
that? When
I was
that?
a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I was a little younger. So my favorite church out of ever was this homeless church in downtown Phoenix. So they had, and everybody knew they were. So I reached out. I talked to every fast food place within a mile, every restaurant, every school, because they can't keep anything after the expiration date. We had so much food coming into that place. I was throwing it away.
That's
Because we had so much food. Because there's not enough places who will take it. Because we don't have those places for people to go. Because nobody wants to deal with it. Why would I want to deal with homeless people and druggies and everything else? I just don't want to deal with it. I'll just pretend like it doesn't exist. So if we start making these places, there is food out there available. We had donut shops. We had the grocery stores who would bring us donuts, bread, everything they baked that they couldn't sell. They'd bring it to us. I was throwing it away. There was so much of it. Cans of everything.
Why don't we stop soup kitchens again or something like that?
Why don't we start doing stuff like that with leftover school food? We'd have so much cans of nacho cheese and milk and everything that came from the schools because once it got to the expiration week, they had to get rid of it.
Well, let's do something with this. Let's ask the senators of Arizona
Yeah.
why they're not doing anything.
They ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, can you ask them?
You want me to ask them,
Yes,
Dad?
I do.
Are you gonna pay my bail fund?
No, you won't get in jail for that.
Hmm.
If you ask them legitimately and put my name on it, I'll back you 100%. Send them and say, why aren't we doing this for the
They ain't
people?
gonna do that. It ain't even gonna get to them, Dad. There's nothing I'm gonna be able to do that's gonna get to them unless I go see them. And if I go see them, it's not gonna end well.
Give me the address of our senators, and I'll go see them.
Well, I can get their address, Dad.
Good, I'll go see them.
You want me to go knock on that door? I already egged one of their houses.
I don't care. I don't see any. Well, my biggest problem is children crying because they're
Oh
hungry.
my God, with the children.
I'm sorry. It
Seriously.
bothers me. It bothers me. There's no child in the world.
I don't feel bad for the children. I feel bad for the vets. I feel bad for our homeless
yes,
vets that
of
are sitting on
course-
the street.
Of course I do. I feel bad
More
for them.
than children.
No, not more than children.
Yes, more than
But I feel bad for them equally. The vets don't deserve that kind of treatment. I agree 100% with you on that. I don't want to see any child crying because they're hungry. It's ridiculous.
Seeing these children cry because their parents are stupid.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't put food in their belly.
No, it's not going to put food in their bellies, but it puts heroin in their mother's. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
I
know
know,
where
of
you-
course.
I know.
where you're
Distraction.
going.
Squirrel.
I know where you're going,
Ouch.
but I care about the children.
Hey, so communism.
Okay. So anyway, communism is not a good idea. It doesn't
No.
work.
It's totally bad.
We have a lot of people in this country. I'm not going to mention political parties because I don't want to get thrown off. But there are people that believe that's the answer to everything, and it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. And anybody that buys into that, better start doing some research
They
and
could do that. Then it
realize.
sounds good on TV.
Ask anybody that's
Babe,
come.
can you pull up Christine's thing again? Because I agree with that. So we have so many buildings, so many offices, how many offices are sitting empty right now that these companies aren't using because everybody works remotely? Let's buy those and turn them into hotels. You don't even
Absolutely.
have to turn them into hotels. Let them be the way they are. There's still one bathroom. Let everybody have an office space. Turn it into a house. There's so many options out there
Are you talking
that
about?
we can do.
Are you talking about providing shelter for?
I'm talking about
veterans?
providing shelter for veterans, for homeless, for any of that,
All right, here's the
but not
problem.
just give it to them.
Here's the-
You are in a program. You are in a program to get better.
And that's good.
You have restrictions. You have things you have to meet.
and-
Like
and
you can
that's
stay
good.
here as long as you're showing me that you're going out and you're interviewing, or you're going and doing whatever, or you're helping pick up the community. You're doing something. You don't just get to stay here for free.
And that's good, but there's a problem.
That's
with
never
that.
gonna happen.
No, it's not, and I'll tell you why. The veterans out there, a lot of them have given up, and
Because
and-
nobody's believed in them.
yeah, well, that's the reason. But I'm saying they've given up, and they have no interest in anybody saving them anymore. They just want to be left alone.
Well, and there are those homeless that choose to be homeless, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of people who don't.
yeah, and
And
we
you
should help them.
can't and you can't find a job and you can't get whatever.
I like,
And that is one thing truly, like, Dad, if you win the lottery, that I truly, like, it is on my heart and I would love to do it. I
You
loved
want me
it
to
when I
spend
was
my money on something?
No, I want you to spend my money because I have to take the taxes for it.
Okay.
So I want to start programs like that and start doing things like that and start helping the community. But again, you have to find people to do it. And it's a 24-hour-a-day job. It's
is.
not something you can just find somebody else to do. Like, you have to be there for those people. And I loved it when I was at that church. Like, it was amazing. I have no problem going out and buying somebody a brand new outfit and some stuff to make themselves presentable to go to a job interview. I have no problem with that. Those are the things you need, because you can't go to an interview showing that you're homeless with torn clothes and dirty hair and everything else. Nobody's ever going to hire you no matter what skills you have.
You know what your problem is?
I care too much.
No, your problem is you care too much. That's exactly it. You're right on target with this
I
stuff.
care and I don't care all at the same time.
No, you do
But
care.
that's what makes me
You do care.
good at it, because I accept the fact that you're going to fuck it up, but I'm still going to try.
It's true, eh? It's true.
It's terrible.
The thing, your biggest fault is you have a big heart. I hate
I
this.
do, honey.
I
Don't
can't-
hurt my heart.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
I am the sweetest person you'll ever meet.
I'm actually complimenting my daughter-in-law, but she does. She has a good heart, no doubt about it.
I'm the first person who'll give you the shirt
wanna
off
make
my
me-
back.
Make me a drink.
I do. I'll make you another drink. I'm the first person who'll give you the shirt off my back and
Yes,
then
you
be like,
will.
"Why'd you fuck it up?"
Why'd you screw with me? Yeah, yeah. I was talking to my son Dan tonight, who is an interesting character in himself, and I
He
don't
is a
know
Davidson.
I don't know if he's watching or not, but he told me that we were talking about Lindsay, and he said, "I think she's super. I think she's great. She's honest. She tells it like it is, and I respect her." And that's exactly how you could describe Lindsay.
See? And I'll be the first one to throat punch you when you fuck it up.
Whatever. So let's move on.
With a smile on my face.
Where are we now? We're at, what's that bottom?
Rise of the Soviet Union.
Well, we know where that happened.
Yeah.
That happened right after the Second World War with Joseph Stalin.
Was it? How far was it in between?
It was right after the war. Joseph Stalin took the initiative. He saw the open door. and
Stalin was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Okay, go."
He said, "We're in chaos right now. I'm going to sell them something that they're going to buy."
Like me, I didn't say any F-bombs. I've done so well.
You didn't say any F-bombs
I
today?
didn't.
Say it one time.
No, I'm being such a good person.
Okay. Anyway, so he
I can't
said
ruin it. There's people on here who think I'm a good person.
he said that Joseph Stalin said that I need to do something to make these people believe I am the savior for them.
Yeah.
So he went out there.
That went over like
and
a
he
fart in the
killed
wind.
he killed millions of people. Everybody that disagreed with him, he killed millions of people. People don't realize that Joseph Stalin was worse than Adolf Hitler. Nobody realizes
absolutely.
that. They
But
all
he took
think-
the opportunity
Everybody talks about Adolf Hitler, and he was evil.
because his was more publicized.
Yeah, he was evil, As evil
Stalin's
could be.
was just like talked about.
But Stalin killed millions of people that didn't agree with him. And it's a scary thing. But he got away with it. And people were terrified. And to this day, they still have communism in Russia.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a little bit different today. It's a little bit more,
Lax.
yeah, lax is a good word, or it's not emphasized as much. And they like to make people think that there's freedom in Russia and they have a chance to vote for people. It's a joke. There's still
Yeah, just like we vote for people too.
it's still a communist country, but it is better than it was under Joseph Stalin. So
Okay. We need to move on.
All right, move on.
Golden Age of Radio, transatlantic flight, the discovery of penicillin, and the rise of trade unions.
Well, who got all this stuff?
This is all Keith stuff. This is the producer.
Okay, well, Golden Age of Radio.
Which-
I could talk
Absolutely.
about that. I could talk about that.
That was like you said, your cartoons, your
Yeah, 48 to 52, 53, everything.
That's still not this generation, Dad.
Well, I'm
This
telling-
ends in 45.
Okay, but it doesn't matter because up until
It doesn't matter.
that time, all right, let's say 45. That's good. I'm good with that. They had radio shows. They had talent shows like
Like singing stuff?
Ted Healy's Amateur Hour.
Oh, okay.
And things like that where they had people on to compete.
Like comedy and stuff?
Like they have today. What's the name of the show today that's on all the time? With the British guy that always pisses everybody off. Oh, what the hell's the name of that
Is
show?
it the cooking show?
No, the talent show. You guys know what I'm talking about.
America's Got Talent.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. It
My dad
it
look at
was
me like I have an idea what he's talking about.
It was like an early version of that. Ted Healy,
Oh, okay.
Amateur Hour. They had adventure stories like Gangbusters,
Yeah.
Lights Out.
So you had comedians and singers and talkers and all that
Yes, they
stuff.
had-
Okay.
They had ventriloquists like Edgar Bergen.
How can you do
and
a
Charlie
ventriloquist
McCloud,
on the radio?
Because he got away with it. He sucked as a ventriloquist because he was on radio. Who would know?
You can't see him. All he's doing is
Exactly.
voices.
When he went on TV, he sucked because you could see his lips.
Well, of course, he was been on radio his whole
Exactly.
life. That's like the
But
silent
anyway.
actors. They're like, oh, you want me to talk?
And that's when Superman came on and Gangbusters and all these crazy shows. I don't think Dragnet was on yet,
Oh, I like Dragnet.
but it wasn't on yet. But all these shows were on, and you were mesmerized by these shows. Mesmerized. You would sit there and stare at that radio, like a stupid radio, and
Looking
actually,
at the squares.
actually see what's going on. Don't ask me how, but that's the way it was. And I wish,
Imagination.
I
That's
wish
because
people.
y'all were smoking a lot of whoo-hoo.
No, that's what I wish people would be able to do today. Just
Oh, no, we can't do that.
Just for a
We
moment.
can't imagine anything
You
because
could.
we don't. Oh,
no,
yeah.
you could. But the kids today.
No, everything's put in
just
front of
one
you.
moment to go back.
But
in
we
time.
also like played dress up and played teacher and played school and doctor and everything else, and you had to imagine you were there.
Yeah, that's why you could do it.
We
But-
didn't like kids nowadays don't do that. They just sit in front of a phone and everything's
But
put
I'm
in front of their
talking
face.
about the kids today. If they could go back and just sit by that radio for a moment and try to picture what's going on.
But they explained it so well. Like they were authors essentially because
Yes,
they
they were.
had to explain it to you. They visualized it for you
And the
essentially.
sound effects were tremendous.
Oh, my goodness.
Everything was good.
Yeah.
I remember listening to Gunsmoke, which everybody knows from television. I assume everybody knows. Gunsmoke was on radio with, it wasn't James Arness, it was William Conrad.
Yeah.
He played Matt Dillon. And it was tremendous. It was just unbelievable how you would hear the horses and how you would hear the gunshots and how you would hear the dialogue.
That's cool.
It was just amazing. Just amazing. There's nothing better for your imagination and your mind than radio. And Keith
Because
knows.
you have to think of it.
Well, Keith was good at that. I mean, he was a kid of the 70s and 80s, and he had a great imagination.
Oh yeah, no,
and
there's-
that's
true.
That's what people need. People need to be allowed to imagine.
We don't let them do that.
What's
as
the-
soon as they imagine and play pretend. Oh, you're a boy thinking you're a girl. Let's go with that.
Exactly.
No, I was playing pretend.
But today you need to have the real thing in front of you so you don't have to think
Yeah.
about it. You see it.
Nobody
But that's
thinks-
not good. That's not good enough.
no,
What-
that doesn't expand your brain at all.
What was that movie, Keith, that was out? That was about, it was called The Bridge or something, where the kids went back and they were going back in time. It was a bridge or something. I can't think of the name of it. But this young
Bridge of No Return.
well, no, that wasn't it. But it was about a young girl and a young boy that found this bridge, and they walked across it, and they went back in time. It was fantastic, and they knew the Bridge of Taboo or something like that. I can't think of it.
We'll go with it.
That wasn't it. But anyway, it was fantastic. They were young people of today, like I guess maybe the early 2000s, and they actually learned what imagination was about.
That'd be cool.
And it was great. It was great.
That's cool.
You guys have a whole other generation and 5 minutes left.
Shitballs. So transatlantic flight, we learned to fly over the Atlantic. Good job. The discovery of penicillin.
Well, the discovery of penicillin was big because before penicillin,
The bridge over Kwai.
No,
The bridge over Kwai, they're telling you.
what's the bridge over Kwai?
That's what the movie is.
No, it's not.
It has nothing to do with penicillin.
No.
Penicillin was discovered. Obviously, we all know it's the
Wow, and
it's
you're upsetting the
discovered-
dog.
discovered off the moss of trees and stuff like that.
Well, it was oranges that were
Whatever.
molding.
Yeah, and it was a great discovery. I mean, unfortunately, people became allergic to it, and it's not used as much today as it was back then. But it was a lifesaver back then. I mean, it's
But we've tweaked it to have people less allergic to it. So we're
Yes.
still using the psyllin of it, not the other part of it.
I just had it for an infection I had. I used penicillin,
Yeah.
and I wasn't allergic to it. But my wife is tremendously allergic
And
to
my
it.
dad is allergic
Yeah,
to it.
so yeah.
But I'm allergic to Bioxin, which is what they give you when you're allergic to penicillin,
Right.
which is funny.
But you're weird anyway,
I know.
so it doesn't
what can
matter.
you do? So then we have the rise of trade unions, which we do not have anymore. So there's not many unions left.
Well, I'm not a big union guy. I mean,
I don't know.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I think the principle back in
Again,
the
idea is a great idea.
1930s when they did it, I'm 100% supportive of it because people were treated like crap back then. Workers were treated like crap.
Yeah.
And they got benefits and they did the right things, but they got too political.
Yeah.
And now today they're too powerful and they create too many problems.
Well, and they're not helping their workers anymore.
Especially the teachers union.
Yep.
And I don't want to get into that because this is not a show
not.
for that. But I'm
So we're
just
going
saying.
to the baby boomers.
Okay.
That'd be you. No, that's not you.
No, I'm
Just
not a baby
kidding.
boomer.
That's my dad.
Mom is.
Mom's a baby boomer?
And mom is and your dad is. Right.
Actually, yep, dad's 58, so he is a baby boomer.
Mom and your
So
dad.
76 million babies were born.
Yeah, and that's because everybody got excited when they came home.
Yeah, we got a little bored when we came home.
Yeah, they
So
did.
then there was the Cold War.
The Cold War, meaning
The Cold War.
anything that created tension between the United States and foreign countries.
Yep. Then we have the first military draft. When was the draft?
The first military draft?
Obviously, it was
Probably
in between 46 and
1942.
64. No, it was between 46
No,
and
it's
64.
not right. That's not right. It's
Keith, he's telling you you're not right.
No, I would say the first military draft was in 1942 or 43.
So then we have vinyl records and transistor radios.
Yeah,
So what-
remember vinyl records.
What were the little ones? Not the big ones. The little
45s?
ones. I got a crap ton of those.
78s and 45s, so you're talking about 45s.
I don't know. Sure. Are those the little ones?
When I was a kid, 45s were big, and I had a whole bunch of them, and I loved rock and roll. So, I mean, everything that came on that was rock and roll, I bought.
You were there.
I bought
So so you'd probably love. I'll have to pull them out. So my mom has a ton of 45s that I have, and they're in the little case and
I'd love to
everything.
see that.
But they're all rock and roll stuff, I'm sure, because she was a little troublemaker.
Nah,
back
she
in the
was
day.
good like me. She's on my side. She's a buddy of mine.
No, she was a little. I'll have to show you some of the stuff. She was a little.
No, she's fine.
First military draft was September 16th, 1940.
Yeah, see?
So that is incorrect.
So you were wrong.
I
Dang
didn't,
that producer.
I didn't mean to make you wrong, but I knew that.
No, gotta love Google.
Gotta love Google.
right,
So then
well.
we have the rise of rock and roll, Elvis, Beatles, and Jimi Hendrix.
Let's talk about that
Let's talk about
because I'm
that.
pissed about that.
Why?
Because the greatest music that ever came out after the big band era, which was good, I love the big band area. I mean, the Frank Sinatras, the
Oh yeah.
Doris Days, the Bing Crosby's, they were good at what they did, but they were old fashioned.
Yeah.
But they were good. They were good.
Absolutely.
They were really
That was huge talent.
I mean, one of my favorites was I'm trying to think of his name.
Dance with me, Henry.
Well, not Dance with Me, Henry, but Tommy Dorsey's band with I can't think of his name. It just escapes me right now. But they did like Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Oh yeah.
And somebody, they were fantastic. The Andrew
Duke
sisters,
Ellington.
all these, Duke Ellington, they were all great.
That you said Beef Wellington. I was like, what the?
But when the 50s came in and they did rhythm and blues
Yeah.
onto rock and roll, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer. And everybody just latched on to that. And it was great music.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
No.
Well, the Beatles.
You can't. The Beatles were good. Elvis
They
was
were
good.
good.
Jimi Hendrix was also good. I still even think, like you were saying, Frank Sinatra, all of that was good. You were good for your era.
Good
You
for your
had
era.
talent. You had good music. You had good
Yeah, absolutely.
message you were putting out
Absolutely.
there.
But to me, the best, and it's because I'm old, I'll give
Well,
you
it's
that.
because that's what you grew up with.
I grew up with it, but to me, the best music was the 1950s, rock and roll. I'm not saying the Beatles were bad because they weren't. They were good. I'm just saying my best
You were
era
rock and roll.
was rock and roll.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, even the 1980s
Yeah.
were good. Once we passed
Then we
that,
lost it in the 90s.
we went down. We went down
You
that
know,
road to
it's
that.
fine.
But that's just my opinion.
Then we had Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and the Civil Rights Act. I think that's kind of when everything started to change, and we started to realize, like, hey, we're all humans.
That's a good point.
You know?
You just put it perfectly. But Martin Luther King, to me, and this doesn't, I don't want to sound like I'm whitewashing anything or like just kissing up to something, but to me, Martin Luther King was one of the greatest Americans that ever lived.
Oh, absolutely.
He was fantastic. What he
And
said,
he had the presence
yes.
to do it.
Well, what he said, he believed, and
Yep.
that's important.
Yep.
He didn't just say it to
Nope.
say it. He believed it.
He truly, and you could tell that when he spoke.
He was a
He didn't just
great-
say the words. He truly believed it.
He was a great, great American. So, God bless Martin Luther King as far as that goes. As far as other people go,
Humans suck. Okay. On
no,
to the
there,
cute.
there were a lot of people that tried to destroy him.
Oh,
I mean,
of course.
Obviously, he was assassinated, which is terrible. But his legacy will never die
No.
because
And what he said.
because he was
not-
right.
Like Arthur says, he made sense. He
Exactly.
wasn't just spewing
Right.
this garbage
Right.
out there.
And he wasn't feeling sorry for the black
No.
Americans.
No.
He said, this is what's right and this is what's wrong.
Yeah, period.
And you can't argue
There
with
was
that.
no in-betweens or no feelings or anything that got in the middle of it.
Exactly.
He said it like it was. He stated the facts, and that's what made him good,
Yeah.
is that it wasn't this emotional plea like you hear nowadays.
I have 3 people I wish I could have met in my life, and he's one of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So, as far as I can say, and I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not saying it because I'm a white liberal or something like that.
You're a white liberal?
I'm far from that. But he's a great American. That's all I'll
No,
say.
absolutely. So then we have the Cuban Missile Crisis, which you guys were speaking a little bit about earlier.
Right.
I've never heard of it.
Well, if you were around in 1962, you
I
would
was
have heard of it.
not.
It
Sorry.
was scary because
I wasn't even a glimmer yet.
well, the thing was that people followed it on the news, like NBC, CBS, ABC, Walter Cronkite, all these people. They followed it step by step, and they made us believe we were this close to nuclear war.
Yeah.
So it was frightening for all Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And if you were in the service,
It was like where the world's all over again.
and if you were in the service, you were convinced we're up Shit's Creek.
Yeah.
We're in trouble here. But fortunately, it worked out because, like I said, Kennedy
called his bluff.
Kennedy called Khrushchev's bluff, and Khrushchev backed down and moved the warships away from Cuba, and everything went back to normal. So,
That's good.
an A+ for JFK.
Yep. And then he got assassinated.
Yeah, well, again, we got a lot of piece of shits out there that think the only answer to everything is kill somebody, but
Yep.
that's a shame.
Now we're going into Wacky Wednesday file with the Gen Z interview. So this is, I am a owner and I want to interview a Gen Zer. So tips to effectively interview Gen Z employees. Tip 1, embrace technology. If you want to communicate with a Gen Z candidate effectively, speak their language. And this language is definitely tech. Tip number 2, ask them about their preferred work style. In office, hybrid, or fully remote. Can I just tell you, never once in my life have I been asked by an employer how I prefer to work for them. Just saying. Tip 3, learn about their boss-employee relationship expectations. Gen Z employees are not really fond of strict, rigidly hierarchical management styles. They don't want a traditional boss. Rather, they want a mentor who guides them and offers valuable feedback to help them grow.
Isn't that what the parents?
I'm just saying, I thought that's what your mother and father did. Not your boss who's giving you a fucking wage.
Pathetic.
Tip 4, tap into their motivation. Gen Z employees might have little to no work experience, but they make up for it with their enthusiasm. Can I just tell you, I haven't seen shit for enthusiasm for Gen Z employees. They're too busy on their phone watching fucking YouTube videos. I'm just telling you.
Gen Z is from 1996 to 2015?
Yep, these are the little tweenies that are out there getting jobs right now.
Yeah, good luck.
Do you know how many phones I've snatched out of hands? Tip 5, forget about worn out, stereotypical questions. Last but not least, stop asking these overused, unoriginal interview questions. Gen Z candidates expect a personalized interview experience in the form of an honest conversation. Be authentic and open up a dialogue instead of going down the list of common scripted questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what's your biggest strengths? Be specific, curious, and engage your Gen Z candidates during the interview process. And of course, encourage them to ask questions too. I can just tell you right now, they don't expect to see themselves in 5 years because they're fucking stupid. And they have no strengths.
You use the F word.
I did, I'm so sorry. And they have no strengths. They have no, why am I, oh my God, I'd be a terrible boss.
That's three times I use the F word.
I'm surprised it's only 3.
Is that 3 times? That's not bad for her.
Pretty good. It's because Dad's been talking the whole time. Headlines. National. Russia bans 500 U.S. citizens, including Obama, and U.S. talk show hosts. On Friday, the Russian Foreign Ministry announced that 500 U.S. citizens, including former President Barack Obama, have been banned from entering the country with immediate effect.
Who cares?
Okay. Was Obama going to Russia?
Who cares? Who cares what Obama does? Really? I mean,
him and his husband planning a Russian trip?
I mean, I don't care anything about Obama or what he's
I
done.
want to know what U.S. talk show host. Is fucking Whoopi on that list?
Probably.
And Hooker. National. Biden criticizes Republican proposal on debt ceiling, says he won't accept partisan terms. During a press conference held after the group Hiroshima, Japan. Wasn't that where the thing was? President Joe Biden took aim at Republicans, claiming that he had done his part in debt ceiling negotiations and that it was now up to them to move from their extreme positions, as in we don't want to raise it, of 7G summit in Hiroshima. Biden stated that he would shortly speak with the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, although he admitted that their proposal was unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable because
we don't want to raise it.
Exactly. And it's like Joe Biden is typical
See,
of
you'd be great. This one, not so good.
Whatever. Joe Biden is just what Democrats want. He just follows.
A puppet.
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota governor signs bill tightening gun control measures. Oh, I read about this. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Friday signed a sweeping gun control bill into law, including universal background checks and a red flag measure that lets law enforcement intervene if someone is deemed a high risk of injuring themselves or others with a firearm. That is great.
I have no problem with that.
I think that is amazing.
That makes sense.
If you have any issues, you should not be owning a gun.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Especially you.
Hey, I'm not going to kill myself.
Okay.
I might kill other humans that try to come in my house. Oh, see, so we were reading about this. So So this happened on Friday last week. So a mother urges schools to do more after a student brings an AR-15 on campus. This was in Phoenix. A mother is urging schools to do more after a teen brought an AR-15 and ammunition to her daughter's school, Bostrom Alternative High School. Okay, 2 things. First of all, if you go back to our gun show, you can see how big an AR-15 is if you don't know. They're not tiny. So how did you get it in school? Did you carry it on your shoulder all day? Because you're not fitting that in a backpack. Second of all, ammunition. Ammunition like magazines that are full because those are really big too, or like just a bag of ammunition. Third of all, sorry, there's 3 things. Bostrom Alternative High School makes me know that that is not a normal high school, and you're already with the naughty kids anyways. So you should have known that shit was coming.
The whole thing is that everybody wants to attack AR-15s, that they're a military weapon, they shouldn't be allowed by normal, everyday citizens. And that's fine. If you want to argue that, that's fine.
Sure.
But the problem here is that we have a way to
Why
stop.
does a teen have this?
Well, that's the whole thing. Why don't we stop what's going on? We have to have security in the school
100%.
to stop this from going on. If we don't have that, it's going to go on and
Nothing's
on.
ever going to stop.
Exactly.
So we had security in our school. I don't know why everybody's all up in arms. We had like 15 people shot in our high school when I was a senior. So having shootings at school is not a new thing. I don't know why everybody's all up in arms about it. But back in our day, we didn't just go shoot everybody. We shot the person we were mad at, and then we moved on our way. Again.
What do you want me to say?
Just saying. But we have plenty of ex-cops. We have plenty of ex-military who need jobs. Why are we not putting them in those schools?
This is
Why are we not paying them to sit there and do it? Because I can tell you right now, if I'm truly that kid that's going to go in there and murder everybody who has that mental issue, again, it's a mental issue that wants to murder all these other children, you're going to rethink the school that has an armed police officer or an armed security guard sitting there. You're going to go to the next one.
That's exactly what you need to do.
That leads to the question as to why are we not paying attention to what our kids are doing?
Why would we pay attention? We don't need to watch them. Our phones watch them, right? And their bosses will then take care of them, right? So why would I watch them?
We need to put a defense in place at the schools to prevent this from happening.
Or we need to arm our teachers.
Till you do that, nothing is going to
No.
get better.
No.
But the thing is that you just said mental problems.
Issues.
Mental
it is
issues.
not a gun issue.
It's
It is
not.
a mental issue.
And if people don't recognize that, they're idiots. Because if
there
you
is
think
that.
taking an AR-15 away from all Americans is going to
You
solve
take
your
away every
problem,
single one, it's not going to matter.
You're a
Then they're going to
moron.
use handguns.
You're
then
a
they're going to
moron.
use knives.
They
then
can-
they're going to use
They
who
can
knows
blow
what.
up a school. They can poison schools.
Exactly.
They can do a million things to a school.
They
If
will find something else.
If they have a mental disability, they're going to find a way
Yep.
to cause harm. So stop
Absolutely.
with the bullshit.
Stop going after the guns. Leave the guns alone and start looking at mental health.
I want my American citizens to be able to protect themselves and their families. What's wrong with that?
Many things, apparently. On to the quiz of the week. Is everybody ready? We're only 15
Do I have to
minutes.
do this?
We're only 15 minutes over. You do have to do this.
I
Since you
can't do
never,
it. I can't read it.
I'm gonna.
Speed round.
shit! Too many.
Okay.
Hit too many buttons.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Skateboards were first marketed in which decade? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 50s?
70s.
You think?
I don't know. What the hell do I
I'm
know?
gonna go 70s because it was big. Oh, 60s.
Oh, well, we were wrong on that one.
Sorry, guys, we're going really fast. 'cause
Key,
we're already
you told
over
me I
time.
was going to know these answers. I'm already wrong.
Don't suck. When was the first newscast first used?
The word
When was
newscast.
the word newscast first used?
What the hell is word newscast? What does that mean?
The word newscast. When did people call it a newscast?
I don't know. 1930s? I don't know.
I'll go with 20s.
Okay.
Hey, 20s.
You're smarter than me.
I'm guessing.
You knew the answers before.
Not at all. Chanel number 5 first came out in which decade? Ooh.
I remember the Chanel number
I'm going to
5.
go 40s.
Wow, yeah, really?
What do you think, Dad?
I have no idea. What the
Oh,
hell
it could be
is
20s.
What the hell is Channel 5?
Chanel number 5. It's a
what I'm-
perfume.
That's my answer.
That's your
D.
answer?
What the hell is Chanel?
20s. See, I had a feeling it was going to be the 20s with the flapping 20s.
Oh, yeah, the flappers, yeah. Mm-hmm. My grandmother would be proud of you.
Popeye.
She would have loved you, by the way.
Oh, my goodness.
She would have loved you.
Because she's feisty like me,
Yep.
hanging out with the... Okay, Popeye the Sailor first appeared in which decade?
1930s. Oh, well.
I wasn't even going to guess on that one. I had no idea. Apple computers first appeared in which decade?
No idea.
Ooh, I'm going to go... Ooh.
80s?
No. Let me think.
No idea.
I'm going to go 90s.
I'm going to go 80s.
70s?
Wow.
What?
Wow, that's early. So far, I got
Oh,
zero.
look at it.
By the way, Keith, I got 0 so far. Thank you.
No, you got one.
Oh, did I get one? Okay, I got one.
Everybody in the
look at
audience
that
is trying to
keyboard.
play too.
That keyboard is nice.
Oh, I remember that. I remember
You've
that.
seen one of those?
Yep, I saw them back in the 70s. Yep.
Man, that's like a TV.
You know how good I was at that?
That literally is a Panasonic TV. It says Panasonic on it.
I was so good at
That's
that
hilarious.
that I couldn't do anything on it. It was terrible.
Didn't you play the Pong thing?
I don't know what I did. Yeah, the Pong thing. Yeah, I remember that. That was Atari, I think.
I don't know. Oh, the jerk.
The first people, what? What's the question?
Oh, what? When did people first do the dance, the jerk?
What the hell's the jerk?
That's not the one I'm thinking of.
1970s. I don't know. What the hell's the
We'll
jerk?
go 60s.
I don't even know what the jerk was.
When did the Girl Scouts of America first show up? I was in the Girl Scouts. I was a very good Girl Scout, just so you know. I should find my vest. I have a vest and everything, bro.
I don't know. 1890s. I don't know.
I'm going to go 1910.
Okay.
Oh, look, I'm good
You
today.
know the answers.
I don't know the answers. When was the Prozac introduced?
What is Prozac?
Prozac is a drug you give your children. Shh.
1970s.
I'm going to go 80s, those crazy kids. Yep.
You know all the answers.
I don't know the answers. I'm guessing.
Well, you got them right.
That's because 80s were when we were all crazy.
I got one right so far.
Disposable diapers, Dad. Did any of our kids have disposable
now
diapers?
we're going my side. Disposable diapers. Hon, tell me what the answer is.
Think of it.
19, what is it, 30s, 40s?
30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s?
50s.
50s, 60s. I did not have disposable diapers.
You didn't?
Nope. My mom did cloth diapers for me because I have the little pins still with the duckies on them.
How do you remember that?
I remember a lot of
You were
things.
too young to
I remember a lot of things when I was young. I remember the first car I sat in when I was in a car seat, and my dad's like, "You were like barely born." I was like, "I remember that car. I can explain it to you."
You were weird.
I am weird. I can also control my dreams. I know. When did people first do the cha-cha? 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s? 50s? Oh, good job, Dad. Got one
All
right.
I got two now. I got two.
And the end.
Oh, that's not fair. Just when I was rolling. That's not fair.
Good job. Look for a CTC short. And that's it. Goodbye. That was all. There's
That's
no
it?
more.
We're done?
We're done.
Well, it was great. I enjoyed
We're only
it.
18 minutes over.
You people are
28
super.
minutes over.
I love you guys. Really, I do. You guys are great.
Me? Because I'm like the sweetest thing ever?
You too, but I was talking about the guys outside, but you too. Yeah, I love you too.
That's only because I have to drive him home.
So this is part one.
Yes, we're going to do part 2 next week when you're here, and then you'll be gone the week after that. So who knows what we're going to do?
So we'll cover the other generations next week.
Yep.
We're doing good.
We got this.
We got
We
it.
can absolutely do this.
You don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
No, we don't need you.
Do you know how long I fought with this computer before, and I still can't do it? You're absolutely needed.
I just
You're
got
not allowed to not be here
Exactly.
anymore.
I just want to tell you guys out there that support this channel that you guys are great. I love you all. Really, I
Oh, he's gonna get all mushy on us. There's a ambulance. Keith has a ambulance. Somebody just got shot.
I'm in New Jersey. What do you expect?
Pew pews.
Yes, we thank all
Taylor.
our listeners. Thank
Love
all
you
you guys for Rumble for jumping on.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
We got a couple people on rumbling.
Yep, we do.
Being the rumblers. We have angry dogs in the studio. I was going to tell you, so some people keep going and looking in the control room for you.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Somebody's not here.
Yeah, they tried to bite me tonight too. Thank you.
Stop it. Come here. Very upset dogs. It's been 3 days. They're just not really happy right now.
I'll be home tomorrow.
All right, guy.
1 week here and then 1 week on. The dogs are not loving this.
No.
So thank you all for coming on. It was a great show.
You guys are great. I love you.
I love going through the generations and hearing the history and seeing what everybody's gone through. Every generation has had a war so far or had something detrimental. We'll see what happens next week with the rest of the generations. But I think that has a lot to do with where we are now as a country and where we are now as a generation, because we're not thinking of what could happen.
Yeah,
Everything's great.
It is. Watch out for my comments next week.
And happy Memorial Day to everybody too out there. Monday's Memorial Day.
Yes, Monday's Memorial Day.
Let's remember our servicemen and women.
Yep. Go get a coffee.
Get a coffee.
Thank
All
you
right,
guys.
Take care,
Have a
everybody.
good night. We'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.